The story begins with Hyun reading one of his poems in class, leaving his classmates impressed by his talent. Meanwhile, Suji comforts a girl after a breakup, pretending to support her even though she and her friends were actually responsible for ending the relationship. Hyun, who had once seen how happy the couple was together, feels uneasy about what they did. Later, when a student mocks Hyun for his poor grades, Suji angrily defends him and warns the boy never to insult Hyun again. Although Seju tells her to stop causing trouble, Suji confidently brushes off his concerns. On graduation day, Suji unexpectedly sees her former art teacher, whom she once had feelings for. She remembers how her mother paid him to stay away from her and how he accepted the money. A flashback reveals that Hyun discovered the teacher was secretly involved with another teacher who was already engaged. To get revenge for Suji, Hyun, Suji, and Seju secretly recorded them together and exposed the footage during the graduation ceremony, humiliating both teachers in front of everyone. Afterward, the friends celebrate their success, while Ju confesses to Taehee that she likes Seju and even considers changing her appearance to win his attention. Taehee encourages her to stay true to herself instead. Later, Suji meets her boyfriend Lee, hoping to introduce their relationship to his friends. However, Lee unexpectedly tells her that they were never really dating and breaks up with her. Heartbroken, Suji joins Hyun and Seju for drinks and tells them how Lee used and abandoned her. Furious, the three friends decide that Lee deserves revenge too. That same night, Hyun's life falls apart when his father gives him a DNA test proving that he is not his biological son and coldly throws him out of the house. Devastated and carrying only the painful truth about his identity, Hyun leaves home and sits alone at a bus stop, struggling to accept that his entire life has changed in an instant. At the bus stop, Taehee notices Hyun sitting alone and clearly in pain. Remembering his mother's advice, Hyun folds the DNA report into a paper airplane and lets it fly away. The paper lands near Taehee, who picks it up and tries to return it. They end up boarding the same bus, where Hyun tells her to throw the document away because he no longer wants it. Sensing his sadness, Taehee gently offers to listen, but Hyun remains silent and leaves the report with her. When Taehee accidentally drops an item while getting off the bus, Hyun quietly picks it up and keeps it. The next day, Seju visits Suji, who is upset that Hyun has not contacted her. To cheer her up, Seju jokingly tells her about a drinking game where Hyun lost and had to kiss a woman, who turned out to be Ju's glamorous mother. The story only makes Suji more annoyed. Later, during an event organized by Suji's mother, Taehee unexpectedly reunites with Lee. After learning about Taehee's broken family and her father's move to Germany, Suji realizes that Taehee was Lee's first love and becomes convinced that Lee left her because he never truly forgot Taehee. During the event, Taehee receives a prestigious 4-year scholarship and housing support, making everyone proud of her achievement. However, Suji secretly feels jealous and bitter. Determined to hurt Lee, she comes up with a plan. If Taehee starts dating someone else, Lee will become jealous. She asks Hyun to pretend to be Taehee's boyfriend, but Hyun refuses. Later, Han encounters Ju's mother, who begs him to keep their embarrassing past encounter a secret, especially from Ju. While they talk, Taehee sees them together and becomes curious about their relationship. The event takes an even bigger turn when Hyun's father and Suji's mother publicly announce that they are in love and plan to get married. The shocking news leaves both Hyun and Suji speechless. Meanwhile, Taehee shares her scholarship success with her mother, but reveals the deep pain she still carries from being abandoned after her parents' divorce. Later, while overwhelmed by everything happening in his life, Hyun accidentally crashes his car while trying to avoid hitting Taehee. Although both of them are injured, Hyun makes sure she is okay before rushing away after learning that Suji is in trouble. As he leaves, Taehee recognizes him as the boy Ju secretly likes. Back home, Suji reacts violently to her mother's marriage announcement and badly injures herself in anger. Neither her mother nor Seju can calm her down until Hyun arrives. Later, Suji emotionally admits that Hyun and Seju are the only family she truly has, leaving her mother heartbroken. That night, both Suji and Taehee struggle with painful memories of their families, while Hyun quietly leaves after making sure Suji has fallen asleep. The next day, Seju faces punishment from his father for secretly taking the family car that Hyun later crashed. Despite being locked away, Seju contacts Hyun and allows him to continue staying at his house after being thrown out by his own father. Later, Hyun learns that Suji is still refusing to accept her mother's marriage. He tries asking his father to help clear Seju's name in the car accident, but his father coldly refuses. Soon afterward, Seju escapes from home and reunites with Hyun and Suji. While discussing their parents' upcoming marriage, Hyun unexpectedly suggests that he and Suji should marry each other first to stop their parents' plan. Although Suji thinks he is joking, Han insists that they could simply divorce later. When Suji accuses him of seeking revenge against his father, Han admits she is partly right. To test him, Suji dares Yoon to kiss her, but she stops him before he can. Instead, she brings up her original revenge plan and once again asks Yoon to pretend to date Taehee to make Lee suffer. Before they can continue the conversation, Seju interrupts them. Meanwhile, Hyun's father proposes to Suji's mother, making her genuinely happy. As Hyun reflects on everything, he finally agrees to participate in Suji's revenge scheme. The next day, while sorting through his belongings, he finds the item Taehee dropped on the bus. Thinking about her, he unexpectedly sketches her portrait, unknowingly beginning a connection that will soon change both of their lives. The story continues as Suji and Seju secretly follow Taehee and discover that she has been selected to receive housing through her scholarship program. Seeing how happy Taehee is about her future, Suji quickly comes up with another plan. After learning that Taehee will move into the dormitory on Saturday, Suji confronts her mother and promises to stop her upcoming marriage. However, her mother calmly tells her that nothing Suji does will change her decision. Meanwhile, Hyun finds the address written on the item Taehee dropped and visits it with flowers, believing it is her home. To his surprise, the address belongs to Ju's family. Ju's mother comes outside, and both of them are shocked to see each other again. She hurriedly takes the flowers and warns Hyun that people must not see them together. Their awkward situation becomes even worse when Taehee and Ju suddenly arrive and witness them talking. After seeing Hyun with Ju's mother for the second time, Taehee becomes convinced that they are secretly involved. Wanting to protect Ju, she quickly takes her away. However, Ju later confronts Hyun herself and tearfully admits that she knows about his connection with her mother. Although Hyun tries to explain that it was a misunderstanding from the past, Ju refuses to listen. Watching him walk away from a crying girl only makes Taehee think even worse of him. Later, Ju learns the truth from her mother and discovers that the flowers Hyun brought were actually meant for Taehee. Her mother explains that Hyun only wanted to check on Taehee after their accident. Even so, Ju warns Taehee to stay away from him, calling him a flirt. Meanwhile, when Hyun tells Suji and Seju everything that happened, Suji scolds him for getting involved with Ju's mother in the first place, while Hyun and Seju insist they had no idea who she really was. Determined not to give up, Hyun waits for Taehee at the bus stop the next day and follows her onto the bus. When a man starts bothering Taehee, Hyun steps in and acts like her hero by throwing the man off. However, the plan backfires when Taehee discovers that Hyun had secretly paid the man to create the situation. Embarrassed, Hyun jokes that fate must keep bringing them together since they always meet on the bus. Although Taehee pretends to ignore him, she cannot stop thinking about his words afterward. After learning from Ju that Taehee believes strongly in destiny, Hyun develops a new strategy. He decides to keep appearing in her life so she will believe fate is bringing them together. Suji and Seju enthusiastically support the idea. The next day, Taehee goes to the library and is shocked to find Hyun there once again. At the library, Hyun pretends to be asleep until Taehee wakes him up. He invites her to lunch, but during their meal, Taehee tells him that she knows about his reputation and the misunderstanding involving Ju's mother. Believing he is a player, she says she wants nothing to do with him and hopes they never meet again. Meanwhile, Suji reveals to Seju that Ju likes him and only shared information about Taehee because Suji promised to help her. Seju, however, makes it clear that he has no romantic interest in Ju. That evening, Hyun admits to Suji and Seju that his plan failed. At the same time, Taehee finds herself thinking about Hyun and wonders if she judged him too harshly. She decides to return the paper airplane he made from the DNA report and finally end this strange connection. Ironically, Hyun cannot stop thinking about her either and repeatedly calls her, hanging up before she can answer just to make her curious. Meanwhile, Suji continues treating her mother coldly despite her mother's efforts to reconnect. Elsewhere, Hyun keeps calling Taehee and hanging up, which only frustrates her more. Around the same time, Seju gives Ju a ride home, making her incredibly happy. Soon after, Ju and Taehee visit a salon, where Ju reveals that Hyun's father and Suji's mother are planning to marry. She also defends Hyun, explaining that despite his image, he is actually kind-hearted and misunderstood. Later, Tae-hee runs into Hyun once again at the bus stop. He immediately compliments her new hairstyle, leaving her slightly embarrassed. After getting off the bus, Hyun continues following her until she finally asks why he keeps doing it. Without hesitation, he honestly answers, "Because I want to see you." Before Tae-hee can respond, workers at the nursing home where she volunteers assume Hyun is her boyfriend. Flustered, Tae-hee quickly insists that they are only friends. Hyun joins Tae-hee at the nursing home and spends the day helping the elderly residents. Everyone continues teasing them about being a perfect couple, much to Tae-hee's embarrassment. The exhausting work leaves Hyun completely drained, and even Suji refuses to rescue him when he calls to complain. On their way home, Hyun accidentally falls asleep on Tae-hee's shoulder during the bus ride, and she quietly lets him rest. After getting off the bus, Hyun finally confesses his feelings and asks Tae-hee out. She rejects him, explaining that Ju likes him. However, Hyun immediately tells her that he has no feelings for Ju, because the person he likes is Tae-hee. Even after hearing his honest confession, Tae still refuses, leaving him heartbroken. Later that night, Suji reveals to Hyun that Ju actually likes Seju, not him. Hearing this unexpectedly makes Hyun happy, because it removes one obstacle between him and Tae-hee. That evening, Hyun calls Tae-hee for help cooking noodles, and she patiently guides him through the process over the phone. At the same time, Ju confesses her feelings for Seju to Tae-hee, while Tae-hee admits that Hyun confessed to her. Surprisingly, Ju encourages her to give Hyun a chance because she believes he is genuinely a good person. The following day, Suji goes to meet Hyun's father with her mother but notices him secretly heading somewhere else. She soon discovers the shocking truth. Hyun's father has been having a long-term affair with Tae-hee's mother and only plans to marry Suji's mother for business reasons. Meanwhile, Hyun visits Tae-hee again and asks whether learning that Ju likes Seju changes her feelings about him. Unable to answer, Tae-hee realizes that she is becoming confused about her own emotions. At the same time, Suji witnesses Hyun's father embracing Tae-hee's mother. Shocked and furious by his betrayal, she silently carries the painful truth, knowing that her mother is about to marry a man who has been deceiving her all along. Before leaving the nursing home, Hyun tells Tae-hee that he is willing to wait patiently for her answer. Later, when Hyun's father meets Suji and her mother, he spends the entire meeting talking about business, leaving Suji frustrated enough to walk out. That evening, Tae-hee happily tells Ju that Hyun confessed his feelings and is waiting for her response. Wanting to protect her friend, Ju asks Suji whether Hyun is serious. However, Suji says she doubts Hyun's sincerity, causing Tae-hee to feel hurt and uncertain. Meanwhile, Suji and Seju accidentally break a decorative plate that was very special to Hyun. He becomes upset, which hurts Suji's feelings and leads to an argument. The plate held sentimental value because Hyun had designed it with an elderly woman from the nursing home. Tae-hee had admired the design so much that she recreated it as a gift for the elderly woman, making its destruction even more painful. The next day, Hyun desperately tries to repair the broken plate but fails. When he and Tae-hee meet at the nursing home, she refuses to speak to him. Later, Hyun admits to the elderly woman that the plate was broken, leaving her heartbroken. Feeling guilty, he spends time comforting her and eventually manages to cheer her up. Although he later apologizes to Tae-hee, she remains angry and walks away, leaving Hyun miserable. Back home, Hyun cannot stop thinking about what happened. Seju tries to cheer him up, but nothing helps. Meanwhile, Tae-hee learns from an elderly resident that Hyun's late mother founded the nursing home foundation and passed away 2 years earlier. After hearing about his painful past, Tae-hee begins to understand his emotions and feels sympathy for him. Soon afterward, Seju brings Hyun and Suji together to resolve their conflict. During their conversation, Suji reveals that she secretly cancelled Tae-hee's hostel accommodation. Hyun is shocked and argues that she went too far, but Suji refuses to admit she was wrong. At the same time, Suji's mother tries to spend time with Hyun's father, only to be ignored again, leaving her deeply disappointed. Later, while driving together, Hyun and Suji argue about Tae-hee. Suji starts believing that Hyun has genuinely fallen for her, while Hyun insists he was only following Suji's original plan. Eventually, to calm her down, he promises to do whatever she asks. The following day, when Tae discovers that her hostel reservation was mysteriously cancelled, she has nowhere to stay. Seeing her distress, Hyun offers her a temporary place to live until they find another solution. That evening, Hyun and Tae-hee spend time together eating ice cream, and Tae-hee finally admits that she likes him too. Overjoyed, Hyun shares his feelings and the two share their first kiss. The next day, Hyun secretly rents one of his own properties to Tae-hee, without telling her that he is actually the owner. As they settle into the new place, they share several light-hearted moments, bringing them even closer. Later, when Tae-hee steps outside her new home, Hyun becomes speechless after seeing how beautiful she looks. Embarrassed, he quickly makes an excuse about delivering welcome gifts to all tenants before leaving. Soon after, he receives news that a building his late mother had named after him now officially belongs to him. Meanwhile, Tae-hee excitedly tells Ju about her kiss with Hyun, leaving Ju shocked. Soon afterward, Suji invites both girls to attend an event together. Later, when Yoon arrives to pick up Suji and Ju, he deliberately avoids talking to Tae-hee, which leaves her confused. During the ride, Ju thanks Hyun for helping Tae-hee move, making Suji suspicious. When she questions him, Hyun jokingly claims he was only trying to impress Tae-hee, avoiding a deeper conversation. Later, while reviewing her rental agreement, Tae-hee discovers the shocking truth that Hyun is actually her landlord. Confused and upset that he hid this from her, she does not know how to react. That evening, Hyun invites her to dinner, but while looking for something in his house, Tae-hee accidentally discovers several condoms and immediately misunderstands the situation. Before Hyun can explain, she rushes out, furious afterward. Hyun blames Seju for leaving them there and causing the misunderstanding. At the same time, Seju drives Ju home and learns about Suji's plan to organize a group trip so Hyun and Tae-hee can become closer. When Ju jokingly suggests that she and Seju might also grow closer during the trip, Seju becomes unexpectedly jealous. Determined to stop her from attending, he secretly asks Ju's maid for help, and eventually convinces her to cooperate. The next day, Ju asks Tae-hee to help her win Seju's heart during their upcoming trip to Seju's cottage. Tae-hee agrees to support her friend. Meanwhile, Suji asks Hyun where Tae-hee is living, but he lies because he has started developing real feelings for her. When Seju later reveals that Tae-hee will be joining the trip, Hyun is secretly delighted. However, Ju's maid secretly puts something into the food meant for Ju. Unfortunately, Ju never eats it, and her mother accidentally consumes it instead. The following day, Ju's mother's condition worsens, forcing Ju to cancel the trip. Although Tae-hee offers to stay behind, Ju insists that she go and asks Hyun to pick her up. On her way to meet him, Tae-hee injures her ankle, and Hyun arrives just in time to help her. She confronts him about hiding the truth about the house, but after his sincere apology, she forgives him. Together, they travel to the cottage where Hyun takes care of her. Soon, Seju and Suji arrive, and seeing Hyun and Tae-hee growing closer makes Suji increasingly uncomfortable. During dinner, Hyun constantly pays attention to Tae-hee, which only fuels Suji's jealousy. When Tae-hee mentions Hyun's love for drawing, Suji immediately disagrees and insists that he never enjoyed art. To avoid upsetting Suji, Hyun agrees with her, unintentionally hurting Tae-hee. Feeling disappointed, Tae-hee walks away to call Ju. Later, Seju confronts Suji and reminds her that she was the one who wanted Hyun and Tae-hee to become close in the first place. However, Suji avoids answering. Meanwhile, Hyun apologizes to Tae-hee for earlier, and the two nearly share another romantic moment before he changes the subject and invites her to watch the stars with him that night. After Hyun leaves, Suji approaches Tae-hee and reveals that she and Hyun once had feelings for each other. She claims that Hyun may have gotten close to Tae-hee only because of their complicated family situation. Deeply hurt by this revelation, Tae-hee begins doubting Hyun's feelings. She promises Suji to keep their conversation a secret. That night, Tae-hee sends Hyun a message saying she is too tired to join him. Later, she sees Hyun and Suji laughing together, which only strengthens her misunderstanding. When Hyun later brings her coffee, she acts distant and cold, leaving him confused. Meanwhile, Suji finally admits to herself that she still has feelings for Hyun and cannot bear to watch him fall in love with someone else, without realizing that Seju has overheard her confession. The next morning, Suji's mother visits the nursing home and is reminded of the tragic day Hyun's mother died. She recalls trying to save her but failing, a memory that still fills her with guilt. Meanwhile, Hyun discovers that Tae-hee has left the cottage and immediately goes after her. He finds her exhausted on the way and kindly carries her, which lifts her spirits. As they travel back together, Tae-hee slowly begins smiling again and even takes photos of Hyun. At the same time, Seju takes Suji fishing and directly asks if she became jealous after realizing Hyun truly loves Tae-hee. He suspects she may have said something that caused Tae-hee to leave, but Suji denies it. The two spend the rest of the day fishing peacefully, while Hyun takes Tae-hee home. cooks for her, and shares a warm meal together. Later, Seju is suddenly taken away by his family after skipping an important memorial ceremony. Worried, Suji calls Hyun, who explains the situation and reassures her. Back home, Tae happily looks through photos of Hyun until she finds pictures of him with Suji. Hurt and confused, she tells Ju that she regrets falling for Hyun. Unfortunately, Hyun overhears her words and quietly asks her to meet him the next day before leaving. The following morning, Seju's family scolds him for neglecting home responsibilities and threatens to send him abroad. To everyone's surprise, he agrees instead to manage a restaurant. Meanwhile, Hyun learns new information about his mother's death and discovers it was actually a hit-and-run accident. The shocking truth leaves him devastated. Later, Hyun tries to spend time with Tae-hee, but she keeps her distance. When another man speaks to her, Hyun becomes jealous. After learning that Tae-hee is upset with him, the elderly women at the nursing home insist he take her out to dinner using money they provide. However, when Tae-hee arrives at what she believes is a job interview, she realizes her friend secretly arranged a blind date and leaves immediately. While walking home, Tae-hee helps children retrieve a ball stuck in a tree. Hyun arrives, easily solves the problem, and invites her to dinner. When Tae-hee jokingly jumps from the tree, Hyun safely catches her. He takes her home and prepares a special meal, hoping to repair their relationship. While waiting, Tae-hee looks through Hyun's drawings and discovers a sketch of Suji. Feeling hurt and insecure again, she quietly leaves. Hyun later realizes what happened and rushes after her, but Tae-hee firmly ends their relationship. After shutting the door, she cries alone while Hyun stands outside heartbroken. Determined to move on, she deletes all of his photos. Unable to handle the breakup, Hyun drinks heavily at a bar. Seju and Suji come to pick him up, and in his drunken state, Hyun demands to know what Suji told Tae-hee. Suji admits she revealed that she and Hyun once had feelings for each other. After an argument, Hyun collapses and is rushed to the hospital. The next morning, Tae-hee discovers evidence that Hyun is not biologically related to his father. For the first time, she fully understands the pain he has been carrying. Meanwhile, Hyun tells Seju that Suji has always been just a friend. Around the same time, preparations continue for Hyun's father's marriage to Suji's mother, while Suji secretly feels happy after learning about Hyun and Tae-hee's breakup. As Hyun recovers, Suji's mother finally reveals more about his mother's accident and explains that the truth had been hidden for years. Back at home, Tae-hee learns that Hyun is hospitalized and decides to return his phone. At the hospital, Suji's mother unexpectedly announces that she and Hyun's father are getting married, shocking both Hyun and Suji. When Tae-hee arrives at the hospital and sees Suji there, she almost leaves. However, she eventually meets Hyun, who finally tells her the truth. Suji is only a friend, and the person he truly loves is Tae-hee. Hearing his sincere confession, Tae-hee decides to stay. Han then opens up about his mother's memories and gives Tae-hee his mother's treasured locket, bringing them closer than ever. After Han is discharged, Tae-hee lovingly takes care of him. Soon after, Seju officially opens his restaurant, and everyone gathers to celebrate. Hyun secretly brings food for Tae-hee, and Ju quickly realizes that the two are dating. Hyun asks her to keep it a secret from Suji, and she happily agrees. Seeing Hyun smile again comforts Suji, and she apologizes for hurting Tae-hee. Hyun forgives her. The next day, Tae-hee helps Hyun find a job that matches his drawing skills. Later, Suji accidentally learns that the woman involved with Hyun's father is actually Tae-hee's mother. Shocked and upset by this discovery, she later tells Hyun that his father is secretly involved with another woman and exploiting her own mother. But she refuses to reveal the woman's identity. Later, Hyun visits Tae-hee and pretends to be hungry so they can spend time together. They cook noodles, eat together, and spend the evening watching the stars growing even closer. Meanwhile, Hyun's father's assistant reveals a shocking secret to Suji's mother, that Hyun may not be his father's biological son. Unable to accept this, she decides to investigate on her own. At the same time, Seju continues trying to get closer to Suji, but she keeps rejecting his advances. During one outing, they unexpectedly spot Hyun's father meeting secretly with Tae-hee's mother, confirming Suji's suspicions and making her even angrier. Later, Seju protects Suji when a drunk man nearly crashes into her. The next day, Hyun confronts his father about the mysterious woman he has been seeing, but his father refuses to explain and warns him to stay out of it. Hyun insists he will uncover the truth to protect Suji's mother. That night, Hyun quietly cleans Tae-hee's messy house while she works and gently covers her with a blanket after she falls asleep. The next morning, he takes her jogging, and when she becomes tired, he carries her to rest. While spending time together, Tae injures her hand while trying to protect Hyun from a flying ball. Hyun carefully treats her injury, and when Tae mentions that she may have to travel for work, he immediately offers to go with her, making her happy. Meanwhile, Suji's anger toward Taehee's mother continues to grow. She deliberately shows Taehee's mother an article about Hyun's father's upcoming marriage, causing her great pain. Before leaving, Suji secretly steals an important client list and later realizes that Hyun's father's name appears on it, deepening her suspicions. Hyun begs Suji to reveal who his father is involved with because he doesn't want another woman to suffer like his own mother did, but she refuses. At the same time, Hyun's father's assistant warns Suji's mother not to marry him because she is being used for business purposes, but she ignores the warning. Later, Hyun and Taehee travel together to a beautiful location where Taehee sketches while Hyun quietly worries about the secrets he is hiding. They spend the day exploring, taking photos, and enjoying each other's company. After missing their bus home, they decide to stay overnight. Meanwhile, Suji learns that Taehee is away and suspects she is with Hyun. Finding only one available room, Hyun and Taehee stay together and spend the night talking. Their feelings grow stronger, and they finally share a kiss. Back home, Seju tells Ju that Suji discovering their relationship could create serious problems. Later, Suji confronts Seju about Hyun and Taehee. Instead of answering, Seju asks her to play the cello, and after listening, he unexpectedly kisses her. Shocked, Suji leaves, while Seju returns home alone. The next morning, Hyun surprises Taehee with breakfast before they begin their journey home. On the way back, a car almost hits Taehee, but Hyun saves her in time. When Taehee recalls a similar accident from 2 years earlier, Hyun realizes with horror that she was involved in the incident connected to his mother's death. However, he keeps this painful truth to himself. Back home, Hyun accidentally discovers that Taehee has seen his DNA report. Feeling exposed and betrayed, he tells her he never wanted anyone to know and leaves. Although Taehee later tries to apologize, Hyun asks for time alone. The following day, Suji confronts Seju about the kiss and warns him never to do it again. Later, she tells Hyun that she knows he is still dating Taehee and offers to reveal his father's secret relationship if he agrees to break up with Taehee. Meanwhile, Taehee leaves a heartfelt apology letter for Hyun, leaving him torn between love and responsibility. Soon afterwards, Suji learns that her mother already knows about Hyun's father's affair, but still plans to marry him because the marriage will benefit their businesses. Furious and disappointed, Suji struggles to accept the truth. Later, Taehee apologizes to Hyun again. Seeing her wearing his late mother's locket deeply affects him, and he asks her to meet him that night. Excited, Taehee prepares for what she believes will be a special evening. Before meeting her, Hyun visits his mother's grave and breaks down while struggling with his emotions. At the same time, Taehee's mother confronts Hyun's father about his betrayal, but she leaves heartbroken after refusing to accept his explanation. That evening, Taehee arrives to find Seju and Suji waiting with Hyun. To everyone's shock, Hyun publicly humiliates Taehee and coldly tells her that he no longer loves her. Devastated, Taehee runs away in tears. Later, she desperately chases after Hyun's car but is left behind, returning home heartbroken as memories of their happy moments overwhelm her. Meanwhile, Suji's mother becomes suspicious after discovering Hyun's father visiting another hospital, but he dismisses it as a minor health issue. Elsewhere, Seju gently tells Ju that although he knows she cares for him, his heart belongs to someone else. After kissing her on the cheek goodbye, he leaves and Ju breaks down in tears. The next day, Taehee notices that Ju is heartbroken after Seju made it clear that he only sees her as a friend. She comforts Ju, even though she herself is confused about what to do about Hyun. Meanwhile, Suji gives Hyun a photo of the woman involved with his father and reveals that it is Taehee's mother, deliberately hiding the fact that she and Taehee are related. She asks how he plans to get revenge, but Hyun says he needs time to think. At the same time, Suji's mother visits Hyun's grandmother and leaves hurt after receiving a cold welcome. Later, Hyun learns from his father's assistant that his mother was actually on her way to meet Taehee's mother before her fatal accident. The shocking truth leaves him speechless. Soon after, Hyun begins avoiding Taehee completely. Hurt by his sudden coldness, Taehee returns home frustrated and cries out in anger while eating alone, unaware that Hyun hears her. Even the next morning, he continues ignoring her, breaking her heart even more. Meanwhile, Suji discovers that her mother has been relying on sleeping pills due to stress. Furious, she suggests an unexpected solution to Hyun's father. Instead of marrying her mother, he should arrange a marriage between her and Hyun. She argues that this would protect her mother and still benefit his business. Surprised, he asks for time to consider it. Later, Tae-hee visits the nursing home, but simply hearing Hyun's name causes her to break down in tears. The elderly women discuss helping the couple but decide to let them solve their problems on their own. Around the same time, Hyun's father informs Suji's mother about Suji's marriage proposal. He suggests that perhaps they should step aside if the younger generation truly wants to be together. Meanwhile, Tae-hee gets drunk with her friends at Seju's restaurant and repeatedly tries to call Hyun. Worried, Seju asks Hyun to come. When Hyun arrives, Tae-hee tearfully begs him not to leave her and apologizes over and over. Unable to ignore her pain, he comforts her, carries her home after she falls asleep, quietly apologizes, and accidentally leaves behind his mother's locket. Later, Seju tells Suji that Hyun plans to meet Tae-hee's mother, which makes her anxious. The next morning, Tae-hee discovers the locket and realizes Hyun brought her home. She rushes after him, stops his car, and demands to know why he has been pushing her away. Finally unable to hide the truth, Hyun reveals that Tae-hee's accident 2 years earlier involved his mother's car and that he has been carrying guilt ever since. Through tears, Tae-hee tells him that none of it was his fault and begs him not to leave her. Overwhelmed, Hyun breaks down and the two reconcile. Later, he also reveals that his father has secretly loved another woman for years, leaving Tae-hee shocked. The next morning, Hyun and Tae-hee enjoy breakfast together before Hyun goes to meet Tae-hee's mother. During their meeting, he explains that his mother's death was connected to the affair involving his father, and that everyone involved suffered because of it. Realizing the pain she unknowingly caused, Tae-hee's mother sincerely apologizes. As Hyun leaves, Tae-hee suddenly remembers details of her own accident after narrowly avoiding Suji's car. The sight of the vehicle triggers old memories, making her suspect that she has seen it before. Meanwhile, Hyun confronts his father and tells him that, like his own mother and Suji's mother, Tae's mother also became a victim of his lies. That evening, Seju and Suji prepare a birthday celebration for Hyun. However, Hyun confronts Suji about her proposal to marry him and firmly rejects it, declaring that he loves only Tae-hee. He admits that he pushed Tae-hee away because he wanted to uncover the truth about his father's affair and because he was overwhelmed by guilt over the accident. Suji warns him that if Tae-hee learns he used their relationship to search for answers, she may never forgive him. Even so, Hyun says he will continue loving Tae-hee no matter what. After he leaves, Tae-hee prepares a surprise birthday celebration for him. Meanwhile, Seju asks Suji if she truly loves Hyun. When she admits that she does, Seju hides his own heartbreak and encourages her to confess her feelings. Later, Suji learns a devastating secret from her mother. Hyun is not his father's biological son. Furious that this truth was hidden from him, she rushes out to find Hyun and desperately calls Seju for help. At the same time, Hyun arrives at Tae-see's house, where she surprises him with a heartfelt birthday celebration and a handmade gift that deeply moves him. Later, he invites her to spend more time with him. As they leave together, Suji sees them and silently suffers while Seju takes her away. That night, Tae-hee accidentally falls asleep in Hyun's room. Rather than waking her, Hyun gently places her on the bed and sleeps on the sofa. Meanwhile, Suji tells Seju that she no longer wants to interfere in her mother's marriage. The next morning, Tae-hee happily drags Hyun out for a jog. Later, when another student tries flirting with her, she quickly scares him away, making Hyun laugh. However, Suji witnesses their happiness from afar and quietly walks away. Meanwhile, Hyun's father asks Tae-hee's mother to meet him one last time. At the same time, Suji's mother and Hyun's grandmother gather for a meal. Before leaving the room, Suji secretly activates a voice recorder. Once alone, the grandmother angrily accuses Suji's mother of revealing Hyun's father's affair years ago. Shocked, Suji's mother remembers that she had indeed exposed the relationship after discovering Hyun's father with Tae-hee's mother. Elsewhere, Seju returns Suji's mother's car after servicing it. When Tae-hee sees the vehicle, she learns that it belongs to Suji's mother and has not been used for years. As they talk about Hyun's birthday celebrations, more hidden connections begin to surface. With long-buried secrets finally emerging, Hyun's father heads to meet Tae-hee's mother, bringing everyone closer to a painful truth that can no longer remain hidden. Tae-hee's mother finally tells Hyun's father that their relationship was a mistake, and that the only punishment they deserve is to stay apart forever. Heartbroken, He leaves but gets into a car accident on the way. Taehee's mother rushes him to the hospital and, when asked to contact a family member, calls Hyun. Just as Hyun is about to meet Taehee, he receives the call and immediately heads to the hospital. Meanwhile, Seju invites Suji out for a drive, but she declines, saying she has something important to do. At the hospital, Taehee's mother apologizes to Hyun and reveals that her own daughter was involved in an accident on the same day 2 years ago. Shocked, Hyun realizes that Taehee is the daughter of the woman his father had loved all these years. He quickly tries to contact Suji, but she doesn't answer. Later, Hyun tells his father that Taehee's mother has ended their relationship for good, and his father quietly accepts it. At the same time, Suji tells Taehee the devastating truth about the long affair between Hyun's father and her mother. She explains that Hyun's mother was on her way to confront Taehee's mother when the tragic accident occurred. Broken by the revelation, Taehee bursts into tears. Soon after, Hyun confronts Suji for hiding the truth from him. When she admits that she knew everything and also told Taehee, Hyun feels deeply betrayed and ends their friendship. Meanwhile, Taehee disappears and decides to stay at her university rather than return home. Around the same time, Seju confesses his feelings to Suji, but she gently rejects him, saying they can only remain friends. Later, Seju warns Hyun that Suji has already suffered enough because of him. Their argument is interrupted by a fight with a group of troublemakers. Meanwhile, Hyun's father receives devastating news. He has a tumor. The next morning, Hyun finally finds Taehee and desperately tries to save their relationship. However, overwhelmed by the painful connection between their families, Taehee says they can no longer be together. After giving him one final kiss, she walks away, leaving Hyun heartbroken. As Taehee moves into Ju's house, Hyun watches her leave through the security camera and promises himself that he will wait for her return. Meanwhile, Suji decides to support her mother's marriage plans, while Taehee blames her own mother for destroying her relationship with Hyun, leaving her mother consumed by guilt. Later, Hyun tells his grandmother that he is not his father's biological son based on the DNA report. Shocked, she secretly orders another test. At the same time, Suji's mother confirms that Hyun's father's tumor can be treated. Although Hyun rushes to the hospital, he cannot bring himself to enter his father's room. At the hospital, Taehee learns that she finally has a room in the university hostel. As she leaves, she unexpectedly runs into Hyun. When he asks about the hospital visit, she simply explains that she came to arrange her accommodation. Hyun then asks to speak with her privately. He apologizes for the pain she suffered and for the guilt he carried for so long. Taehee accepts his apology and walks away, but memories of the accident begin returning to her. Meanwhile, Seju reflects sadly on how much their lives have changed. At the same time, Suji listens to the recording she secretly made and sends it to Hyun, though he doesn't listen to it immediately. Soon afterward, Taehee witnesses Suji's mother treating a patient, which suddenly triggers her lost memories. She remembers that Suji's mother was present on the night of her accident. Shocked, Taehee confronts her and demands the truth. Suji's mother finally confesses everything. She reveals that she informed Yoon's mother about the affair years ago, and that, on the night of the accident, she accidentally hit Taehee with her car while trying to follow Hyun's mother. She also explains that Hyun's mother's death occurred in a separate accident. Furious, Taehee reveals that she had actually tried to help Hyun's mother that night, and had been left injured and alone after Suji's mother promised to return. Realizing that Hyun had carried guilt for years because of a lie, Taehee demands that Suji's mother confess everything to him and apologize. Filled with regret, she agrees. As Taehee leaves, Suji sees her mother crying and wrongly assumes Taehee hurt her. Taehee then tells Hyun the entire truth. Although Hyun urges her to report the incident, she refuses because she doesn't want to cause more suffering. While waiting for Hyun in the hospital parking lot, Taehee is confronted by Suji. Before the argument escalates, Hyun arrives and takes Taehee away. Enraged and heartbroken, Suji drives after them in anger but stops herself before causing a tragedy. Later, she breaks down in front of Seju, admitting that she feels abandoned by everyone. Once again, Seju promises he will never leave her, but Suji still cannot return his feelings. The next day, Hyun finally listens to Suji's recording and discovers another painful truth. It was Suji's mother who revealed his father's affair to his mother years ago, setting all of their tragedies into motion. Shocked and angry, Hyun confronts Suji's mother about lying to him for years, and making him believe his own mother was responsible for Taehee's accident. Overwhelmed with guilt, She confesses everything and apologizes. Hyun asks her to cancel the marriage plans and promises to keep the truth a secret. Unbeknownst to them, Suji overhears the entire conversation and is devastated. Soon after, Hyun's grandmother arranges a second DNA test which proves that Hyun is actually her biological grandson. Realizing that the earlier report was false, Hyun believes his late mother may have created it out of anger toward his father. Worried for him, his grandmother asks him to move overseas with her. Although he agrees, he says he still has unfinished business. Meanwhile, Hyun continues trying to reconnect with Tae-hee. He leaves her notes during class, visits her in the cafeteria and library, and repeatedly asks her to return home. However, Tae-hee continues to avoid him. Watching from a distance, Suji quietly walks away in sadness. That night, Tae-hee finally returns home. Seeing her through the security camera, Hyun feels relieved. Although they remain apart, both spend the night awake, unable to stop thinking about each other, while Suji struggles alone with her own regrets and heartbreak. The next day, Hyun tells his father that after the surgery, he plans to go abroad with his grandmother and study art. Around the same time, Tae-hee's father returns from Germany and reunites with her. After hearing everything that happened between her and Hyun, he gently tells her that Hyun still clearly loves her and encourages her to give him another chance. Later, Tae-hee unexpectedly runs into Hyun. After hesitating for a moment, Hyun asks if she will spend the next day with him and she agrees. Meanwhile, Suji tells Siju that she and Hyun both plan to leave the country. Siju begs her to stay, but Suji blames herself for destroying their friendship. Seju, however, insists that Tae-hee was the reason everything fell apart. That evening, Hyun and Tae-hee spend time together. Hyun wants to confess the terrible truth about how their relationship began as part of a cruel bet, but he cannot bring himself to hurt her again and decides to wait. Desperate to stop Suji from leaving, Seju asks Hyun for help, but Hyun refuses. Seju then takes Tae-hee to the place where he, Hyun, and Suji used to spend time together and reveals the devastating truth. He confesses that Hyun first approached her because of a bet, and that the three of them planned to use her as part of their revenge. To prove it, he shows her old recordings of their conversations. Shattered by the revelation, Tae-hee asks why they would do something so cruel. Seju admits that they wanted revenge by taking away Lee's supposed first love. When Tae-hee reveals that she was never actually Lee's first love, Seju bitterly admits that he revealed everything because he blamed her for destroying their friendship and wanted to separate her from Hyun. Heartbroken, Tae-hee runs away in tears. A security guard helps her after noticing her distress, and when Hyun calls, the guard tells him about her condition. Hyun rushes to her, but Tae-hee, feeling deeply betrayed, refuses to listen to his explanation. Later, Hyun confronts Seju and angrily tells him that he had planned to confess everything himself. After Shiju leaves, Hyun breaks down alone. Meanwhile, Tae-hee returns to her mother, who comforts her through the pain. At the same time, Hyun learns that his father's surgery may take many hours, but he remains hopeful. Feeling exhausted by everything she has endured, Tae-hee decides to return to Germany with her father and leave her painful memories behind. Elsewhere, Suji learns what Seju did and asks him to tell Hyun that the revenge plan was originally her idea. She says she no longer expects forgiveness and does not want Hyun and Seju's friendship to end because of her. Meanwhile, Suji becomes involved in helping Haejong, a young woman who ran away to avoid marrying Lee because she loved someone else. Seju offers to protect Haejong and her boyfriend. When Lee's future mother-in-law finally learns about his violent behavior, she cancels the engagement, leaving Lee furious and humiliated. Later, Suji admits to Hyun that she was responsible for encouraging Seju's actions. Deeply disappointed, Hyun tells her never to contact him again and walks away, ending their friendship for good. At the same time, Tae-hee tells her father that she has decided to return to Germany with him. Soon afterward, Lee discovers where Haejong is hiding and attacks her boyfriend. Seju rushes to help but becomes trapped in the violent confrontation himself. During the fight, discovers evidence exposing the revenge plot involving Hyun, Seju, and Suji. Furious, he calls Hyun to confront him. When Hyun arrives, Lee and his men attack both him and Seju. Meanwhile, Haejong contacts Tae-hee and tells her what is happening. Tae-hee rushes to the scene and finds Hyun and Seju being brutally beaten. She desperately begs the attackers to stop and calls the police. When Lee attempts to attack Tae-hee, Hyun protects her and takes the blow himself, collapsing unconscious. Terrified, Lee and his men flee. Tae-hee rushes Hyun to the hospital, where doctors begin emergency treatment. Later, Lee shows Suji the videos exposing their revenge plan, and tells her that he has finally gotten his own revenge. Realizing that her actions contributed to the tragedy, Suji is overwhelmed with guilt. Meanwhile, Haejong's mother finally accepts her daughter's true love and gives her blessing, bringing Haejong to tears of happiness. At the same time, Suji learns about Hyun's condition and rushes to the hospital. Seeing him unconscious fills her with regret, and Seju comforts her. Consumed by despair, Suji later overdoses on sleeping pills. After collapsing and injuring herself, she is rushed to the hospital by her terrified mother. Meanwhile, doctors inform Taehi that Hyun has severe swelling in his brain and will remain in a coma until it improves. Devastated, Taehi regrets all the painful things she said to him. As the days pass, her father asks if she still plans to leave for Germany, and she quietly says yes. At the same time, Seju visits both Suji and Hyun, but cannot bring himself to face either of them. Ju also begs Taehi to stay, but Taehi insists that leaving is the only way she can heal. Meanwhile, Hyun's grandmother reveals the truth about the DNA test to Hyun's father. She explains that a second test confirmed that Hyun is his biological son. Filled with guilt, Hyun's father realizes how wrongly he treated his son and breaks down beside Hyun's hospital bed. While bringing Hyun's belongings to the hospital, Taehi discovers his diary. As she reads it, she learns how deeply he regretted hurting her and how sincerely he wanted her forgiveness. The discovery breaks her heart. At the same time, Suji searches for Seju and slowly realizes that she has fallen in love with him. One day, Taehi and Ju arrive at the hospital and see doctors rushing into Hyun's room. Terrified, Taehi waits anxiously until Ju returns with the news that Hyun has finally regained consciousness. Overcome with emotion, Taehi bursts into tears. However, despite Ju's encouragement, she decides not to see him, believing that meeting again would only reopen old wounds. Later, Ju tells Hyun that Taehi stayed by his side the entire time before quietly leaving. Hearing this, Hyun sheds tears of his own. Before preparing to leave for Germany, Taehi finally reconciles with her mother, and the two make peace after years of pain and misunderstanding. The story then jumps forward 5 years. Suji and Seju have continued missing each other all this time. Meanwhile, Taehi has become a successful architect. One day, she receives a project from a mysterious client who repeatedly requests design changes through email, leaving her increasingly frustrated. Her coworkers suggest meeting the client in person. Around the same time, Taehi receives a bouquet of flowers from the client, which surprises her. Elsewhere, Suji also receives flowers while practicing the cello. The card inside makes her smile with happiness. Soon after, she visits Seju's newly opened restaurant. Seju is shocked to see her and asks how she found him. Suji reveals that Hyun gave her the address. Finally admitting her feelings, she confesses her love to Seju, and the two embrace, ending years of regret and separation. The next day, Taehi goes to meet the mysterious landowner who hired her. To her surprise, she discovers that the client is Hyun himself. Seeing each other again after all those years, they both smile through their tears and embrace, finding their way back to each other.